Hello everyone, how's it going? Nice to see you guys again. It is about 2 weeks since I last did a video, give or take, maybe even a touch more, but I wanted to wait because I was anticipating this big Ozzy and Black Sabbath show that happened yesterday, and I'm glad I waited because I watched the whole thing. I did the pay-per-view and watched the whole thing, spent the whole day watching this thing, and man, what an amazing concert. I loved it, every second of it. It's so much nostalgia in there for a guy like me, my age. And, man, what a show. So many great performances. I just loved it. So, that's what this video is about. I'm going to talk about that show back to the beginning and give a little bit of a recap. If you're into rock like I am and you're into that type of music, you've seen tons of footage about it and lots of commentary, and it's all good. Everyone's excited. I just loved it. It was just fantastic, and really happy I made the point of being around to watch it all. And yeah, what a great performance, and it's gonna go down in rock history, man. I'm telling you, it was a great day, and I'm sure everyone that is into cool music like this already knows that. But yeah, I just thought I'd pull out some of the stuff in my collection and some of the things that are connected to Ozzy and Black Sabbath in my collection that are connected to these performances, and sort of give a recap, tell people what I thought about it. I mean, from my little corner of my rock world, yeah, Ozzy's an important figure. Always was, always has been, always will be. And yeah, Black Sabbath too, but for me personally, Ozzy even more because of my age and, kind of when I came into it. I came in right when Ozzy was going solo, and yeah, those first two Ozzy records were everything to me, and they still are. I mean, me and my twin brother Don, shout out to my brother Don. I know he's excited about this kind of stuff too. And yeah, so I thought I'd give a little recap because there was so much coming at us all day with all the performances, like so many, just like mind-blowing how many cool rock people were involved in this. And, it just goes to show you how important Ozzy was, but just how respected he is, and Black Sabbath as well. Ozzy being the figure of Sabbath, being the outgoing guy, being that character, but Tony Iommi is one of the most respected figures in rock music and hard rock music ever, to be honest. But I'll tell you something, man. I saw Black Sabbath. You look over my shoulder, the big poster at the back there, on the End tour, and it was Ozzy, and it was Tony, and it was Geezer Butler, and it was Tommy Clufetus, if I'm saying his name right, on drums. He was killer, but Geezer Butler was just like mind-blowing how good this guy was. He's the bass player for Sabbath, and man, they're just so good. And then, of course, when we heard Bill Ward was gonna, I don't know about you guys, man, but I was excited but apprehensive, worried, a little bit concerned. Oh my God, I hope he's up for this. And wasn't just up for this. The guy was super cool. He's got this old guy, and he takes off his shirt, and he just doesn't care. It was just awesome, man. What a performance. So anyway, let's do a little recap here. Getting too excited maybe, but man, it was so good. I just loved it. So, one of the early performances in the day was Rival Sons. Now, they didn't do a song from this record. This is my lone Rival Sons record. But the reason I wanted to mention that, I thought they did really good in that performance. The singer is killer. And we'll talk about this later, but I would love to see him come back in the day and do something. But Rival Sons, I thought, were really cool. And what's cool about this is, Rival Sons are no like rookies on the scene, man. They've been around, but in the scheme of that day, yesterday, they were kind of like, the next group of hard rockers, if you want to say. And certainly not as heavy as some of the bands that were on the bill, but I thought they were super cool. And I saw Rival Sons, like I said, they opened for Sabbath at Budweiser Stage in Toronto when I saw Sabbath on the End tour. And they did a short set, but they were cool then, and they had a pretty good growing following and career. One of those bands that you say, man, they should be bigger. And I think that I agree with that, and they're cool, man. That singer, man, he should be back on the stage later in the day doing some Sabbath number. Man, they were really, really good. So Rival Sons I wanted to give them a shout out. And, you know, so many bands came up and did Sabbath. This is we sold our soul for rock and roll, all the classic Sabbath songs. And, you know, all these bands doing Sabbath numbers. Very, very cool. That's what I was looking forward to. Another highlight for me was very excited. And when Jake E. Lee hit the stage, it was funny. He came, I don't know what happened. He was a bit delayed, making his his moment shine a little brighter, maybe coming out a bit later there with that super group. But, you know, Jake E. Lee comes out. Jake E. Lee, the star of Ozzy's records, The Ultimate Sin, had this a long, long time. And one of my favorite unsung Ozzy records, Bark at the Moon, Jake E. Lee. Pretty cool to see him again. I thought he looked amazing. I mean, obviously, you know, all us people that follow the rock news, you know, Jake had some troubles there with being kind of, I guess, mugged or something in the LA area. And, you know, it's good to see him. And I was very impressed how he looked. He looked super cool. And, you know, I would have loved to see him play longer for sure. But it was still a special treat to see that guy on stage. That was cool. Another guy that I loved to see, even more so, I have to say for me, even more so than Jake E. Lee, is Rudy Sarzo. And when Rudy Sarzo came out and played a bunch of times, he was on the stage a lot. You know, Rudy Sarzo of big fame, Ozzy's Speak of the Devil, bass player Rudy Sarzo. You know, that's quite a throwback for me, playing all these Sabbath tunes from that record. But I mean, for those of us that follow that brand of music, I mean, Rudy Sarzo is an important figure in our world because, you know, a member of Quiet Riot. And why I wanted to mention this, there's Rudy right there. And yeah, he looks older, but he still looks cool. He did that, I noticed that he did that trick playing bass where he puts his hand over the top and plays. That was that was a throwback. That was cool. But, you know, I mean, I thought this was cool to mention because, of course, Randy Rhoads, Ozzy Osbourne's superstar guitarist for those great, bright first two solo records. Randy was part of Quiet Riot before they became really popular and became Quiet Riot that we know in rock history now. So that's cool. Another really cool act that I thought was really extra cool because they're kind of more modern, although they've been around again. Another band that's been around, God, some of these bands you realize, man, they've been around a long time. All these bands. I mean, that's the thing with the show, Ozzy and Black Sabbath. Man, decades of just amazing music. So, Alice in Chains. I thought Alice in Chains did really good. I loved it. I loved it because, you know, Mike Inez, the bass player that played with Ozzy for a while, comes out at the end of the show and plays with Ozzy during his solo set. And, you know, Mike's been a big part of Alice in Chains for a long time, and Jerry Cantrell. And, man, I just think that Alice did so good. And the reason I wanted to mention them and put a bit of a highlight mark on them is they played probably one of my favorite Sabbath tunes, Fairies Wear Boots, which is, like, super cool for me to see. Another one to mention is Sammy Hagar. You know, I love the fact that Sammy was there and came out. I love the fact that Robert Trujillo came out, Metallica. And the reason I'm mentioning these guys is, you know, you got Sammy coming out and doing Flying High Again. That was, you know, pretty cool to see Sammy do Flying High Again. And, you know, Robert, of course, part of the big Metallica set that was, you know, pretty cool. Come on, Metallica never disappoints. But, you know, these guys are part of the DNA or part of the history of this amazing album, Diary of a Madman. Robert was part of the reissue, played on that. And Sammy doing Flying High Again live was in front of that big crowd. Man, what a guy. So, yeah, what a great record. And, you know, amazing. Just amazing. Another thing I wanted to mention, of course, is I saw some stuff online about Zakk Wylde, and you know he's been with Ozzy a long time. And when he came out during the solo stuff, you know Zack's now performing with Pantera, and the guy is just a beast on the stage, obviously, and on the guitar. And he comes out and he's like looking over with that long hair swaying. He's looking over at Oz, and man, that was something to see, just the respect. So, you know, Zakk Wylde, part of this cool essential set that I have is just amazing. What a collection of songs. But, you know, Zakk, part of a lot of the more, I guess you'd call them modern type of star songs from Ozzy. And, you know, Zakk is such a killer beast of a guitarist. So, you know, of course we were going to see Zakk, but I just love those moments where he's kind of looking out for the boss man, Ozzy, and making sure he's cool. So that's to me worth mentioning. Another band, a single band that I wanted to mention that, you know, there's some big bands, you know, you got your Panteras and your Tools and those likes, but the band that I really dug their set, I love their set, is GNR, Guns N' Roses. You know, a band, here's a big band, like, oh my God, like huge. And they play 2 of their big songs, but they play 3 Sabbath songs. The only band to play 3 Sabbath songs. So, you know, I wanted to mention that. I've been watching online the rock stuff, and a lot of people ripping on Axl's voice and stuff. You know, Axl's got a quirky voice. Let's face it, come on. But they sounded killer band, and I thought Axl was awesome. His voice is funny at times, sure, but man, he still sounds that funny, up, kind of high velocity voice, and that energy that the guy had on stage. He looks amazing too. He's really looking good. So I thought Guns did very good. Guns N' Roses did very good. I was happy to see that. Okay, so the stars of the show. What's my thoughts here? Well, Ozzy, come on. That was unbelievable. He comes out on that cool chair. What a guy. And you could tell that whatever inflictions he has is bothering him. He's doing the shakes, and he's, you know, man, it was kind of rough to see him trying. He wanted so bad to get up, right? He was shaking his legs and that, but he was still Oz, and I'll tell you, whew, man, did he sound good. Ozzy always had a great voice. I loved Ozzy's voice all these years, and I thought he sounded good. So, Ozzy's solo set, 4 songs he plays, 5 songs, 4 of them from Blizzard of Oz. And I've always said, and people can say, you know, whatever, Diary's a great record, I know, but I've always said, if you said to me, what's the best Ozzy record, it's this one, his debut solo record, Blizzard of Oz. I mean, the only beef I would have with it, to be honest with you, the only beef is, man, I would have loved to have heard Over the Mountain. That's the song that I would have loved to have heard him do as well, but pretty solid, man, to pick 4 songs off this amazing debut solo record, Ozzy, Blizzard of Oz. Wow. Randy Rhoads would be very proud, I'm sure. So, the big boys. Black Sabbath comes out, okay? They play the big songs. No problem with that. They sounded just amazing, and it was great. It was a long day, so I get it. They kept it concise that Ozzy could handle. I get it, but I could tell, I don't know, could I tell? My feeling was those guys were just getting warmed up, and I'll bet you they were ready to rock more. And I would have loved for them to play Ozzy, go, recover from this, get him off stage, bring back the guy from Rival Sons, bring back Axl, I don't care who you mention, any of these people, it doesn't matter. Bring back some of the cool singers, I'll tell you. I would have loved to have seen them play at least something from a couple of the other eras of Sabbath. You know, something from Mob Rules would have been cool. Mob Rules, or, geez, Slipping Away, Turn Up the Night. Any of these songs would be great. You know, obviously that's probably not going to happen with Sharon involved and the history of Ronnie James Dio, but we're talking about the band, Black Sabbath, and if I was going to get my way, I would have loved to have seen a couple of tracks from a couple of cool Sabbath eras. So the Ronnie James Dio era, something from Mob Rules would be extra cool. Something from this record would have been hilariously cool, man. How about Disturbing the Priest or Digital Bitch from Born Again? and pick your singer. There's plenty of cool singers throughout the day that could have done justice to this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's my review overall. I think it was, man, I'll tell you, that day was something else. I give it like a 9.5 out of 10. You know, you can always be picky about, it's kind of like a live thing. I thought they pulled it off amazing. I love the circular drum, the stage switch that they were doing. You know, living legends, man, and not just Black Sabbath, but a lot of the people that were there. You know, there's a lot of cool stuff that happened. Steven Tyler coming out. I wasn't a big fan of some of the bands coming, or some of the star people coming out and playing other music from different bands and stuff. I think that's okay, but the day belonged to Sabbath and Ozzy, so I really was just into hearing that kind of stuff. But, you know, whatever, man. It was still cool to see Steven Tyler come out, and there's a couple of other big stars that came out that I was like, oh, cool to see them. However, the day and the music belonged to Sabbath and bands that were heavy, that played Sabbath numbers. And, you know, I really enjoyed myself watching the show. I said to Kara, you know, I really thank Kara for letting me do this all day and setting it up for me. But, you know, I get a kick out of watching these guys, and yeah, the instruments, man, there were some pretty wicked looking guitars and different instruments going on. You know, one band that I will say that I don't own anything of, so I can't show it, that I really dug, and it's the second time I've seen them, and I'm like, man, those guys are killer, is that Gojira band. I'm going to get some of their stuff because they are unbelievable. Wow, what a great band. I saw them, I guess it was that performance at the Olympics, and man, it was unbelievable. So, yeah, what a day. I'd say it was a very triumphant day, and just an epic ending to a legendary band. And yeah, what a send-off. So all the best. You'll see me again. I'll do another video again soon. I think I'm going to pull out some records in my collection that are, I'm going to call it, you know, recommendations from the vault. Records that may have been talked about in the past or whatever, but are kind of overlooked or forgotten about, that you really should check out because they're amazing records. So that's what I'm going to do. And yeah, all the best to you guys. Stay well. And yeah, I just, what a great weekend to see that show. It was spectacular. If you haven't had a chance, make sure you watch some of the clips. They're coming at you big time if you just follow some of the rock sites, and pretty cool stuff. All the best, guys. Take care. Bye.